Today's guest is Brighde from World Vegan Travel. Realizing how difficult traveling could be for vegans, she and her partner Seb decided to give vegan travelers real luxury experiences. Together, they created World Vegan Travel, a vegan travel company that makes sure their participants are being pampered all the way. Learn about their story, their travel advice, and what makes their travels unique. I'm super excited to have them on the show. So I'm sitting here right now with Brighde from World Vegan Travel. I'm super excited to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And I would like to start off with a short introduction of yourself. Who is Brighde and what are you doing?
Sure. So I'm Brighde and I'm one of the co-founders of a new luxury vegan tour company that's taking vegans and vegan curious on incredible, unforgettable experiences in some exciting destinations.
So that already sounds like a very interesting concept. Before meeting you, I have never seen it before.
Okay.
So I'm quite curious, how long have you already been doing this?
We have been existing as World Vegan Travel for about 1 year now, but for the year prior to that, we were working with Colleen Patrick Goudreau. She's a good friend of Seb and myself, and we worked with her to create 2 really exciting trips to Thailand and Vietnam with her and her followers, her fans. So we did one in the end of 2017 to Thailand, and then we did one in Vietnam just under a year ago. So we've been sort of working on this project for a couple of years now.
So going back to the beginning of that project,
Yes.
I saw that you and your partner Seb came up with the idea. What is the story of the beginning of World Vegan Travel? How did you come up with the concept, and how did you stumble upon vegan travel?
Sure. Well, Seb and I have long been travel fans. Indeed, we worked in the travel industry for several years. I worked as a tour leader for a sort of adventure travel company in my 20s called Intrepid Travel, and I did that for 5 years, working in places like Southeast Asia, France and Morocco, and that was actually where Seb and I met. We met in Morocco, where he was a tour leader as well. And in Vietnam, I had my own travel company for a short time. And Sebastian Seb, he's been working in production services, like TV production services, for many years now. And we decided to put all of those skills together to create a travel company.
Mm-hmm. So you both have a great background in traveling. You've been to many countries.
Yes.
And at some point there, both of you also got introduced to the idea of veganism or eating vegan.
Sure.
When was that, and what made you consider veganism?
Sure. So I've just celebrated my 10-year vegan anniversary, and I was inspired to go vegan by listening to the podcast of Colleen Patrick Goudreau, which is actually the person who has now become a very dear friend of mine and who we collaborate together to run many of these trips. So it's funny how that has happened, and I was a vegetarian before then, and as soon as I had an understanding of what has to happen to animals in order for them to be our food, and understanding the ideas of animal exploitation and how that's really unnecessary, it was a no-brainer to go vegan. And I was thrilled when Seb became vegan 6 months later. So we've been living a vegan lifestyle for 10 years. I should add that Seb and I, even in the past 5 or 6 years, whilst we've sort of been mulling over these ideas of luxury vegan travel, Seb has become a travel hacker in recent years. Are you familiar with what travel hacking is?
I think some kind of useful advice that you can apply while you travel.
Not so much. It's really like collecting points through credit cards in order to trade them in for nice hotels and these kinds of things. So we realised that we had a taste of what luxury travel was like through this travel hacking. And we always felt a little bit disappointed, I guess you would say, when we would go to really, really nice places, and there just wasn't a lot for vegans. We didn't feel that it was very good value. There, you could work with the chef to create something at a nice hotel, but usually it would be maybe like a tomato pasta or nothing very exciting, and you just felt a little bit ripped off, I guess, and that's okay. I understand why that is. They haven't necessarily had a lot of experience in eating vegan, but we thought, wow, wouldn't it be nice to be able to take vegans on these incredible experiences where the food was amazing. Vegans can be really spoiled because often vegans do get the short end of the stick with food and with experiences generally, and also do activities and have excursions that are things that really align with their values. So not going to tanneries, not doing elephant riding, not going to a snake farm, not doing those things, but instead going to places that align with their values. So a real elephant sanctuary in the true sense of the word, or visiting the Duc Langa's projects, this incredible project in Vietnam where they're trying to educate the local people about the importance of these types of primates and the work that they're doing to increase their habitats and to raise education about these animals. So it was sort of like a mixture of all of those things. That's how we got the idea.
Back 10 years ago, when you started to become vegan, and you and Sepp, you were traveling, how was it back then to travel as a vegan? You already mentioned that even in the high quality hotels, they maybe didn't have vegan options, or you had to talk to the chef. But overall, how's the experience compared to nowadays, and are there still similar challenges nowadays?
Things have definitely improved. I think we would all agree that people are becoming more educated about what veganism is and why people are choosing to go vegan, and they're seeing that it's actually a really smart decision to be able to make vegan options available, because it's not just vegans that want to have vegan options actually. There are some incredible bloggers out there that are making destination guides that are really helpful for people. There are amazing people actually going and consulting with 5-star hotels to educate them on veganism so that they can provide more vegan options, which is amazing. But I still think that for people who really want to have a luxury experience, and for people who have 9 days and this is their only holiday of the year, they just really want to relax. They want to just not have to think about this at all, and they're hopefully prepared to pay a price to have that. And we have to work very closely with hotels to come up with incredible menus and vary things and switch things up so that people will have a wide variety of food. So definitely things have improved, but I think in order to have an amazing luxury experience, that's still challenging.
So you came up with the idea of creating a luxury vegan experience for vegans traveling the world.
Yes.
And I assume that posed, when you started, a lot of different angles you had to tackle. So first of all, contacting hotels, finding the right restaurants, finding the right tours.
Yes.
How did you go about each of these aspects, and what was your first travel that you organized?
Sure. So our first tour was to Thailand. That was in 2018, and I've spent a lot of time in Thailand, so I have a good grasp of what's out there. But saying that, we still had to do a lot of work. So we had to work very closely with the hotels. We had to explain what veganism is. We had to go to the hotels and sit down and have many, many meetings with the hotel food and beverage people and the chefs to make sure it was a lot of looking for ingredients as well that were available in that local area. So we had to do a lot of work with that. We also had to vet the sanctuaries and the organisations that we wanted to visit. We wanted to make sure that we were taking people to organisations that we would be proud to support. Often The word sanctuary is not necessarily a reflection on reality, so we have to be very, very careful about that. And even down to working with guides, you know, often we have to work with people that are non-vegan. Of course, we want to do that, but we wanted to make sure that they weren't sort of going through the markets, going through the meat section, for example. And we all know that the meat section exists in a market, but we really want our travellers to have a bit of a break from that. We want them to be travelling with like-minded people, and to be able to, you know, really have a break from, you know, what can often be being vegan is sometimes a challenge. So we want to, you know, really have them to just relax and not have to think about that. So it's very, very carefully thought out, and we worked for many months in the lead up to it.
How was your first travel you organized? Did it meet your expectations? How did the participants like it?
Yes. It did meet our expectations, of course. We were very, very nervous. You know, we were down at breakfast first thing before anyone came down and checking all of the food as it came out just to make sure that everything was okay. And it was incredible. The food was amazing. The hotels really stepped up to the challenge. You know, there was one meal, I think, that was, you know, less than excellent standard. And the feedback was amazing. We had people saying it was the best holiday or vacation of their entire lives, and we're very happy that many of the people that have joined us in Thailand and Vietnam are booked on to join us in Alsace or in Rwanda on our upcoming trips. So, you know, having repeat customers makes us feel so happy.
Yeah, I saw that your next trips will be, as you just said, to Alsace and to, was it Alsace?
We've got 2 trips in Rwanda coming up in June, July, and then we've just confirmed a trip to Alsace, which will definitely be happening Christmas 2019, just before Christmas.
And for each of these trips, the same amount of preparation goes, is a part of the whole planning? Do you have to go to Rwanda beforehand and then meet hotels, meet tour companies that you work with?
The reason why we're going to Rwanda is because we have been before, and it's such an incredible destination for so many reasons. And we're working with some local partners in Rwanda. So the trip is in June and July. We have 2 trips, and I'm just starting to work with the hotels now to really get the menus organised. The itinerary is all sorted, but we're working to get the menus sorted out now. So we're hoping that we'll have repeated trips to the same destinations. For example, Alsace, we're going to again in December. So that will be a little bit less work. Of course, we're going to be trying to make it even better. But of course, the bulk of the work has been done now.
Any other countries that you're planning to visit as part of the travel soon?
We are going in April. Seb and I will be going to France again to be scouting for a couple of trips. One to the Dordogne in the southwest of France, and the other to Provence in the south of France. And that's collaboration with our friend Patrick Goudreau. And just before Rwanda, Seb will be going to Botswana and Kenya to look at some potential places there for a trip that we hope to run in 2020. But we have so many ideas for trips and places that we would love to take vegan.
So, okay, so you had the idea with Seb, you organized your first trip. Now I think something that a lot of people are interested about, especially when they run their own business or want to start a business, is how did you then get people to know about you and participate in what you offer?
Sure. Okay, so we were and still are very fortunate to be working with colleague Patrick Goudreau. She has a very big audience already, so she has been able to share this, and she comes on the trips, and of course people are very excited to travel with her as well. So this is an interesting model for us, especially whilst we're still new and maybe not so many people know about us yet. So we work with amazing vegan influencers who are interested in traveling, who will collaborate with us and work with us to create a trip that aligns with their brand, and then they can hopefully gain interest for the trip with their audience, and then of course the vegan influencer can come with us and enjoy the trip, and of course the other guests can travel with them as well. So it's an interesting model, and it's one that we're looking to develop. We would also love to be running our own trips as well.
And apart from the travel thing, I think personally what I would be interested in is also that you are quite active in the Anonymous for Voiceless.
Yeah.
Do you want to also talk about this in the...
I'm happy to. Yeah, of course. It's the best part of my week. So I am one of the co-organisers for Anonymous for the Voiceless in Bangkok. There are, I believe, 950 chapters for Anonymous for the Voiceless around the world now. There is at least 2 in Thailand. I think the 3rd is on its way. And Anonymous for the Voiceless is street activism. So it's showing members of the public the reality of what happens in animal agriculture, and then if people are engaged in the footage, we're not chasing them down the street or anything, it's just there and they come and look if they're interested. Then if people are engaged, then a member of our group will approach the person and ask if they would like to have a conversation about what they're seeing, and we try to help them understand that maybe animals shouldn't be on our menus and we shouldn't be using animals, and we encourage them to take a 22-day vegan challenge at the end of the conversation if they would like to. And it's great, it's really great for community, and in fact if you're traveling it's really, really fun to do, because there are so many chapters around the world. You can just go and join in a cube, and there's often lots of social aspects after the cube. You can make some new vegan friends in the destination that you're visiting. It's really fun.
So it's a tip for vegans who are actually traveling the world.
Yes, it is. Bonus tip.
If you want to meet others, just look for the local Anonymous for the Voiceless,
Yes.
Tube of Truth. And how does it usually then turn around? How do people respond to these events?
Yeah, people are generally very positive. People that aren't interested walk away, and that's fine. We're only interested in having a conversation with people that are interested in having a conversation. And sometimes people will be a little bit combative, I guess, but that's okay. We want to have those conversations. And I'm sure many of the people watching this, you've probably seen a lot of these kind of street activism conversations on YouTube. And they're amazing, of course, but it's usually only the very combative ones that end up on YouTube, right? Most of the conversations are really, this is a really big problem. I should be doing something about this. And of course, those conversations don't necessarily end up on YouTube. So I would really encourage people to give it a try. There's nothing to be scared or worried about at all. It's a really positive experience. Most people that do it really, really, really love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe people who are watching this are vegans, but nobody in their entire environment is vegan.
Right.
This is something that you also mentioned on the website, that you want a travel for vegans where they're not the only vegan in the room.
Yes.
For people who are in such an environment where maybe they're kind of alone as the vegan, and they're constantly bombarded by why are you vegan, what would you advise them on how to handle such a situation, on how to handle people in the family or friends that just cannot understand?
I would really suggest to people that they try to find community wherever they are. I am sure for most people there are some people out there, and finding those people and getting together with those people is so helpful. Setting up a chapter of Anonymous for the Voiceless in your town would be amazing. And the great thing about Anonymous for the Voiceless is, as well, of course, you get a great opportunity to practice your communication skills with members of the public, people that, you know, are not members of your family. So, you know, it doesn't matter if you make a mistake or things don't go so well, because it's not like a relationship is going to be destroyed at all. So I would really recommend find community, and you know, if things are really difficult, just be that vegan in the room. Just lead by example. Be the vegan that you wish you'd met before you went vegan, and I think that can be really helpful.
And coming back to World Vegan Travel, the group. I mean, you marketed to vegans in general, but are there also like non-vegans or vegetarians that take part in the trips, or how do they usually respond to the idea of vegan travel?
Sure. We have had a few non-vegans come on our trips, and of course they are very welcome. Often they're husbands or wives of the vegans who are coming, or sometimes friends, and they're fantastic. You know, they are involved in everything, all of the activities. They are very respectful of that it's a vegan trip, and that is wonderful. And we've had some really good feedback from the non-vegans that they've actually learnt a lot about veganism by coming on the trip. So they've been, from what I can tell, really positive about it.
With World Vegan Travel in general, where would you like to see your company in 5 years from now?
Oh, it's a great question. So our mission, I think, is to be the biggest provider of vegan tours in the world, luxury vegan tours, I should say. And we would love to be operating in many different countries. Right now, it's just Seb and I who lead the trips. Maybe in the future we will have a team of dedicated tour leaders who would be able to run the trips to our standards. That would be amazing. It would be wonderful to be running trips to some incredible destinations like Antarctica would be incredible. Scandinavia would be amazing. I mean, it would be wonderful to be running trips in lots and lots of different countries.
So what would you say is the main difference between luxury travel and regular travel?
Okay. So I think there are a few key differences. First of all, the level of accommodation is much, much higher. There are some amazing vegan tour companies out there that are doing incredible things, but I don't think that there is anything that's really focused on luxury. So that means very high standards for accommodation, very high standards for transportation, very high standards for food and experiences. And also the amount of time that we spend in the run-up to the trip. The fact that there are 2 tour leaders rather than just one. We usually have 2 tour leaders, so Seb and I, but we will often have an extra person as well, who's sort of like a runner doing things for us. So, you know, you've really got 2 people looking after everything, and, you know, we really go that extra mile in terms of the care and attention to detail.
Okay, so as a participant, being pampered
Right.
the whole journey.
Yeah, so we really want to pamper our travellers so that they really get a break from being a vegan in a non-vegan world. So we just try to spoil them as much as possible. Everyone deserves to be spoiled, of course, from time to time, and vegans too. So we really want to do that.
And for any vegans listening to this who are traveling but cannot do it in a tour, for instance,
Sure.
What would be some, I don't know, travel advice you could give them? For instance, on how to find vegan food,
Yeah.
or how to find vegan friends, or visit vegan places, for instance.
Yeah, of course. So Happy Cow is, of course, always a great bet because they've got everything covered. Often in certain countries, there'll be a dedicated website for vegan restaurants and vegan foods as well. For example, I know in France there's one that's called Veggie Resto, which is all in French, but I think that it is much more comprehensive. So if you can, you know, try and find these country-specific databases, that can be helpful if you speak the local language. Bloggers have also created city guides for many regions or countries or cities around the world, so they're really good. If you just go onto Facebook and you look at like vegan Bangkok or vegan Thailand, you'll be able to ask questions. So, I think the food is pretty much covered. In terms of experiences, if you want to be interacting with animals, but maybe you want to make sure that there's no sort of exploitation of animals, that's going to require a little bit of work, and maybe talking to vegans in countries, finding out if there are any sort of vegan approved sanctuaries or rescue centres where you might want to visit, or you might want to volunteer your time. There are lots of hotels that are vegan or vegan friendly now. There's Veg Visits, which is like an Airbnb that is for vegans and vegetarians, which is pretty cool. And actually there's a recent blog post on World Vegan Travel where it talks about 7 handy apps that are helpful for vegan travellers, so listeners might want to look there. Maybe I can give it to you and you can share that as well.
Yes.
So I think that's pretty much, you've got most of your bases covered with that. And I certainly would not say that you have to be on a luxury vegan tour to travel as a vegan. Of course not. But if you only have a limited amount of time and you just want to really relax and enjoy and let someone else do all of the hard work, then a tour is really beneficial.
How do you see in general the vegan movement evolve over the next coming years?
I wouldn't say I'm an expert on this, and I certainly haven't done a huge amount of proper research into it, but certainly there seems to be so much happening. Every month there are changes. For example, I just found out a couple of days ago that Miyoko's cheese and Beyond Burger and these incredible brands are going to be coming to Thailand by the end of the year. This is something that 3 years ago would have just been a dream. There's just so much happening. So I just think it's going to just get stronger and stronger and stronger. And I don't know. I think we're going to have a vegan world in my lifetime. I'm predicting it.
And the vegan scene in Bangkok or
Yes.
in Thailand specifically, compared to Europe, it's a little, or it seems to me a little small. But how is your take on veganism in Bangkok? Is it also coming up? Is it more Thai people that turn vegan or more internationals?
I don't know if I'm qualified to comment on that. I have lots of Thai vegan friends who say that there is increased awareness, definitely, and that is really exciting. But I can't really comment much more than that. And certainly I don't think things are advanced compared with Germany, for example. But things are changing at a good pace, I think.
Maybe we can go a bit more in depth on actually like some of the travels, because you have to travel to Rwanda coming up later this year, and I checked out your website and saw it's already sold out. What do you plan to visit in Rwanda, and what are the kind of activities that you are going to do in that trip?
Rwanda is really a vegan dream destination, and when we went a couple of years ago, we were just blown away. Our big dream was, of course, to see the gorillas. It's one of 2 countries where you can see gorillas in the wild, and it's very, very carefully managed. When we went, we felt very comfortable about seeing the gorillas. You can also see the chimpanzees as well, and golden monkeys, which is seriously cool. It's amazing. And they also have a new sort of safari area in the east of the country. When the genocide happened, pretty much all of the animals were killed in that area of Rwanda, and they've had a very, very successful rehabilitation project of this area. So we're really excited to be going there. It really appeals to people that are interested in social justice and environmental issues, because Rwanda is doing some really interesting things in that area. Of course, the recent history of Rwanda is, very incredibly sad, but the way that they have come back from that is really interesting, and there's a lot of lessons that we can all learn from what they have done. The 64% of government positions are run by women. It has the highest amount of women represented in government by a long shot in the whole world. Plastic bags are illegal. They have these incredible weekly meetings where everybody has to get together. Everybody has to, but they want to get together to do street cleaning or helping the community mend houses. So there's a real community work aspect as well, which is really interesting. So it's a fascinating destination, and it's so beautiful too. Like, it's a small country. It's the scenery is absolutely spectacular. It's a great destination.
I'm quite curious, how is the food in Rwanda,
Yes.
especially for vegans, because I usually would think that African countries have also quite a large meat component. What is the typical food in Rwanda, and is it vegan friendly?
Sure. From our research and from when we were there before, it's it's not like you can go to a regular restaurant and find a vegan option other than French fries. I'm sure there are exceptions to that, but we ate a few French fries on our first visit. But we're staying in very nice hotels, and we're now starting to work with these hotels. And I'm super impressed with their first sort of attempt. They're sort of sending me now potential menu ideas, and they're really good. Like, they're trying to use a lot of the local ingredients, which is really cool. And one really exciting thing is avocado is like a staple food. There's avocado everywhere. So, I'm happy just from that. But of course, we're trying to make some really incredible dishes that are either accidentally vegan or have been veganized as well. So we really want our travelers to be experiencing the local flavors, but without, of course, the meat and the dairy and the eggs.
In your experience, what are some of the most vegan-friendly countries to travel to?
Oh my goodness. Gosh, there are so many now. Germany, obviously. France continues to surprise me every time I go back there. I'm surprised at just how much more vegan-friendly it is. Certainly in the cities, in terms of the numbers of vegan restaurants that there are, but also in supermarkets in the countryside, you can get a huge selection of vegan cheeses and meats and things like that. You can even get incredible vegan camemberts now. Like, the artisanal vegan cheese is incredible. So the United States, of course, is great in the big cities there. Canada, I think Thailand's great. Vietnam's great. Australia's great. It's not everywhere, but you can certainly have amazing culinary experiences there.
Wow. I didn't know about the cheese part in France, but it's pretty amazing, yeah.
Le Petit Vegan is a cheese company there. It's amazing.
Is it part of the reason that you choose France as one of the next destinations?
Cheese could have something to do with it.
If people want to learn more about you, about world vegan travel, and what you guys are doing, how can they find out more about you? Where can they follow you?
Sure. We are World Vegan Travel on all of the social medias, and we are worldvegantravel.com. It would be great if people want to know about our tours as they go live. They should join our mailing list, where they will get those notifications and also see the travel content that we also write as well. So those are the main ways. Or drop us an email, info@worldvegantravel.com.
Yeah, so if you guys want to learn more about World Vegan Travel and where they are traveling, what they are organizing, just follow the links down in the show notes. Brighde, thanks so much for being on the show and for sharing what you guys are doing, and I wish you a lot of success and all the best for the next travels that are coming up.
Thank you so much. Thank you both for this opportunity. It's lovely talking to you.